to make me address a very serious issue. This problem that I've had is book buying. Now hang on, you may be like,
that's not a problem.
It is when you do it the way I do. Especially when a lot of the books don't get read. You should buy more books. So that's basically what I wanted to do here, is make this video and commit to reading more in 2024. Or reading more that I own already. Without buying more, maybe. I definitely need to reduce the amount of books that I own and haven't read. Because according to Goodreads, that number is at about 25 books that I own but haven't read. To be completely honest with you, it's definitely higher than that. And I've just shame bought some books and hidden them away so that they're not on the Goodreads shelf. So, you know, it's a problem. What this is 24 books that I want to read in 2024. I'm gonna include some like new releases because there are some new releases I'm actually really excited for. The rest are kind of just gonna be books that I own and I want to read them. So let's get going. So first I'm gonna look at the books that are coming out in 2024 that I'm super excited to read. And first on that list, I have a new Sarah J Maas book. Right. The Sarah J Maas universe is massive, gargantuan. I believe there's a Throne of Glass series. I'm so excited. I think, oh yeah, what's it called? It's called House of Flames and Shadow. Especially how the last one finished makes me very excited for the next one. Okay, I'm gonna wrap that up because I would, honest to God, talk about Sarah J Maas's books for 10 years. Nobody wants that, probably. So the next book I'm really excited for is an Ali Hazelwood book called Not in Love. Ali Hazelwood of TikTok fame. She's the one who wrote The Love Hypothesis. She wrote Love on the Brain, Love Theoretically. Really cute, really STEM focused. I really enjoy those books. They're really fun. They're also super easy to read, like devour them in a day kind of book. Maybe 2 days. I don't actually know anything about Not in Love. However, I know I'm going to enjoy it immensely and recommend it to all my friends. Number 3 on our list, Funny Story. Now, I do think Emily Henry like elevates her books to kind of her own level, and every single Emily Henry book I have touched, I have loved. So that with this new release, hell yeah. I heard that there's some forced proximity, like share an apartment kind of vibe in this Funny Story. I think I will enjoy it. Next up is Rick Riordan is releasing another Percy Jackson book. If you knew me between the ages of 11 and like now, then you probably know the hold this book series had on me. Was it a good book to read in your formative years? Yes. I now have a superior knowledge of Greek mythology. It helped me enjoy Song of Achilles more. Yeah, Percy Jackson is like one of the main reasons I grew up reading. So Rick Riordan, somehow butterfly affected this video. He released Chalice of the Gods or Chalice of Gods in September, and pretty much right as he published that one, he announced the next one is coming out next year in September again. Third one in the September after, maybe? I have one more. Hannah Grace is releasing another book called Daydream. For those of you who don't know who Hannah Grace is, icebreaker. You know who Hannah Grace is. If you've been on TikTok, you probably know who Hannah Grace is. She released Wildfire this year, which is the second book, where they're not quite sequels, but they're the same characters but different character point of view. It's one of those. I think they're like hockey romance, which is now a subgenre. I have not read Wildfire yet as of 12th of December, so hopefully that might make it onto my 2024 read list before Daydream does, or maybe I can like marathon them. Either way, I will read Wildfire beforehand, since Daydream is the third book in that series. I will say that Icebreaker was too dang long. Too dang long. It probably could have been about 100 pages shorter. Like, I was fed up by the end. It's a different day. Let's get straight into the books that I own, but have to read by the end of next year, okay? So this first like subcategory is books that I've shamefully started but never actually finished. Most of these still have bookmarks in them from when I unsuccessfully tried to read them this year. We'll see what happens. First we have You Again. This book is a romance about a girl and a guy who are dating the same girl, and that's how they meet. They become friends, they become lovers, whatever. It's supposed to be very Harry Met Sally. Look how super cute they are. And I am a sucker for a romance with a cute little cartoony cover. Next, we have Bloodmarked. So, Bloodmarked is the second book in a YA series. It's fantasy and there's kind of like dual magic systems going on in here. It's tied very heavily to Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table, which I really enjoyed. Still have the bookmark in here. And the reason I actually stopped this was because I'd read a whole load of fantasy in a row and I got a bit burnt out on fantasy. So I started this, I only got to page 38 and was like, look, I cannot finish this book. It was really good so far, and the first book was incredible, Legendborn, but I was just not ready for another fantasy at that time. I think this was like much earlier this year. Next, I have Powerless. This I think is actually also YA. It is a romantasy, right? So basically a romance fantasy. It's another one of these spawned from the Hunger Games kind of books, or that's the vibe I've gotten so far. Once again, the bookmark is still in here and I'm on page 115, so I'm actually a good bit through this. That's not bad. It's good, it is really good. It's also really easy to read and the characters do have really good chemistry, so I am enjoying that. I know I will finish this, no problem. I think the second book is coming out next year, so who knows what could happen, whether it might stumble onto my shelf if I finish this one in time. Finally, for the list of books that I've started but haven't finished is my shame secret couldn't get through at the time book, and that is Babel. I don't know how to pronounce it. For this one I got, see, bookmark. A gift you can always get a reader clearly is bookmarks, since I have just shown you, I think 3, plenty. I got to page 74, 75, so also like a good attempt, but again, I was not in the mood for it. I was really enjoying it. I just didn't have the urge to finish it or continue it, and I just didn't want to read when I was reading this, and that's generally a bad sign.
Duh.
So I said I'd put it down, I'd put it in like a different shelf, and I would come back to it, which I definitely will. It's a good story and I've seen such amazing things about it online. Definitely won some awards last year, so I will definitely read it. Need to get a move on this one. That's the books that I own, have started, and will finish next year. Next, I've kind of separated out my books into their genres that I want to read next year, so I'll grab the biggest pile, which is romance. I love a good romance. So Basically, when I read, I essentially swap between fantasy and romance because too much fantasy and I will end up not finishing the book. Thank you, Bloodmarked. So I need a bit of romance in there as well, but the same thing happens with romance. I get really tired of the same stuff happening over and over again if I'm just reading that. So I tend to swap it up a good bit. But I have a big long list of romance books here that I have bought because usually I like the cover. Yes, I'm judging a book by its cover because they're super, super cute. First we have With Love from Cold World. See, remember what I said about liking books with the cute cartoon covers? Yeah. It seems like a bit of a holiday read. A bookkeeper from Cold World, a tourist destination in Florida, and her co-worker. I know little to nothing about this, just thought it looked cute and thought I would like it. Next, I have You and Me on Vacation, another Emily Henry book. Some people say this is their favorite online, so I'm excited. It seems like a summer book, You and Me on Vacation. I think it's like about friends, people who were friends, who knew each other during like the summertime, that then like fell out and then get together, something like that along those lines. So excited for this, always a win. Next we have Holly Bourne, You Could Be So Pretty. Thing about Holly Bourne is, if she writes it, I'll read it. This is YA, actually, a YA, again, I think romance, but knowing her, it's more like feminist fiction. She writes the best feminist fiction. I feel very seen at all times by Holly Bourne. I will devour anything she writes. Do be ready to feel heartbroken when you read her books though, because there's always something really upsetting, or she also does include trigger warnings because there's always some kind of difficult topic. She handles it really well no matter what it is, and I trust her with them. You Could Be So Pretty is a work of fiction, but it deals with and then gives a list of some things that some people might be offended by or upset by, so always just check inside the cover of a Holly Bourne book. She always sticks the trigger warnings in one of those inside pages so you get an idea. The next book on my list is another Holly Bourne book. As I said, she writes it, I read it, and this is How Do You Like Me Now? I think this is adult, and I've no clue. Genuinely not a single idea what this is about. I picked this up, I'd say over a year ago, because I saw her name on the cover and was like, yep, I'll read that. Yeah, paperback edition published in 2019. So it could have been 2 years ago, could have been 3. I just knew it was hers and I'd read it. I do think it is adult though. Next we have Wildfire. So I included Daydream in the books that I want to buy. I'm really excited to come out and I want to read. So before that Daydream comes out, I will have to read Wildfire. Next, I have an Ali Hazelwood book, Check and Mate. So this is a chess romance. Apparently, it is YA. I'm not so sure about that because I think the main character is 20, and I would assume YA is usually like a teenager, still in school kind of age, but 20 I suppose is still really young. I do really like her writing, and it is nice to read an Ali Hazelwood book between intense fantasy series. It really is like just refreshing when you're constantly confused because such is the nature of fantasy. So now I have like what I'm kind of calling thriller. I don't read thrillers, crime, it's not my genre at all. But I suppose these two could kind of slot into thriller crime. The first one is Hidden Bodies by Caroline Kepnes. It's You, the second book of the Netflix Yaman with Dan Humphrey after Gossip Girl ends. It's the second book in the series. It's the second season actually. I read the first book. It's okay. They are creepy. Like, he is so much creepier in the book. Like, he's definitely like ickier, if you get me. Can't say I'm rooting for him. Also, I've watched You. Like, I've seen the TV show. I have seen the newest season. I love the TV show. So I just kind of want to see how sick Joe Goldberg actually is. Like, what did they censor? The answer is they did censor him a little bit. The first book was way worse than the first season, like creepiness wise, so watch out for that. So that's kind of thriller. I don't really know classified there because he's spooky. But the actual thriller that I want to read next year is Gone Girl. Once again, I have seen the movie Gone Girl, but what did I miss having not read it? There's definitely bits I'm missing, the suspense, and again, I'm not a thriller gal, but Rosamund Pike made me want to read it. So I'm gonna give it a go. My next category is kind of just fiction, I suppose general fiction, kind of like critically acclaimed, kind of. The first one is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. So, full disclosure, this was a gift a few years ago. And again, it was definitely a few years ago. It was probably 2020 or 2021. I've just not gotten around to it. Like, there's actually no reason. It sounds quite compelling. I think it's a retelling of Hamlet, hence, you know, the name. I just genuinely have never gotten around to it. So 2024 is the year, hopefully. The next one is Before the Coffee Gets Cold. So this is a nice short read, but it's also supposed to be like sad / heartwarming, depending on who you ask. So far, I've not been in the mood to be sad. Reading sad books also usually isn't my jam, but like such good things have been said about Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I also did buy the second one. The covers, you see the shimmer, are just so pretty and they look so nice on a bookshelf that I wanted them. So yes, I judged by the cover again. And then the final like fiction novel kind of book is The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. So I'm betting this is intense. I definitely like to read like at least one classic a year. I like to diversify what I read a little bit, like not crazy. So I feel like The Bell Jar is my out of pocket for 2024. People say it's based on her life, but again, like, how do you know that? Yeah, it's supposed to be just a modern classic, essentially, obviously, because it's not 500 years old. But yeah, excited for Sylvia Plath. And you never know, I could just awaken a classics fan in me. Probably won't. My last category is fantasy books. The first fantasy that I really want to get into next year is A Deadly Education. Did I pick this up because I liked the cover? I liked the cover, or I liked the cover. Wow, you're right. I liked the cover. That's what caught my attention initially. And then I had a bit of a read on the back, and it's about a school of magic and you compete kind of stuff. You graduate or you die. It's a line here on the back. So I liked the vibe. There are also, I think there's at least one other book. I don't know if there's two more, but there's definitely one. Potential new series. I've heard good things. Dark Academia vibe, always a win. Next, I have Siege and Storm. Right. So this is the second book in the Grishaverse, Shadow and Bone series. I am gonna admit I did not love Shadow and Bone. Like, it felt a bit basic to me, especially after reading as much fantasy as I have. I think YA fantasy can sometimes feel a bit like, oh, okay, wow, she's 16 and she's the chosen one kind of feeling. But I really want to read Six of Crows eventually, which, if you don't know, is in the same universe as Shadow and Bone, but like different characters in a different place, as far as I know. And Six of Crows is supposed to be phenomenal. Shadow and Bone series was written first and kind of gets you acquainted to the universe, the magic, because obviously there's magic. And so I want to read them correctly so that I can get into it before I read Six of Crows, because I am well overdue reading Six of Crows. So Siege and Storm has to be read. Also bought this, I think, in 2020. because I bought the first one, read the first one, was a bit unhappy, was like, but I have to read them. Bought the second one, never touched it. I might struggle with that one. This next one is an author that I love, Holly Black, The Stolen Heir. So what's this say? Signed first edition. So I bought this in Edinburgh in this really nice bookshop. It's, I think, Topping Books, Topping and Company. See the little logo there. The shop is really cool. They have a load of signed copies randomly thrown around the place. It's definitely worth a look. But The Stolen Heir. So The Cruel Prince is a series, was a trilogy that she wrote years ago that I read, loved. Really good author. Holly Black is a really good author. She writes fae really, really well, but again, in a more YA way than say Sarah J Maas. Holly Black is really good at like politics, writing really complex, interesting political fantasies, and I really enjoyed it. This, The Stolen Heir, is a spin-off of The Cruel Prince. It's set like years. The character here that was a baby in The Cruel Prince, and now he's the main character. So that's exciting. Really excited to read this. So I have one more book that I want to read next year that I don't currently own. And I know this is gonna sound like a bit backwards, you know, aren't I supposed to not be buying books? Isn't that the whole point? I have tried to buy this book everywhere. I've been searching for months, genuinely like 2 months. I've been looking for this book. It's called Girlhood by Melissa Febos. It's a collection of essays about being a woman. So I really want to read that. I like to read about other women's experiences. So I really want to read it. It's actually just not available in bookshops anymore. So you have to order it online. And I have ordered it online. Therefore, it counts as a book I already own because it's on its way. I'm just waiting for it. And I would have had it read by now, to be honest. I just didn't know. I just thought it was wild that I couldn't find it in any shops. So there we go. That is my 24 books for 2024. I really hope this video helps me stay on top of this massive pile of books for next year. Also, most likely I'll read more than this. Like, this is 24 books. This year I read, well, so far, I could finish another book. I've read 30, 31, I think. But I'll definitely feel like I can read more than 24 in a year, like 2 books a month. Usually I go through like spurts where I read like 7 books in a month and then don't touch a book for 2 months. So I feel like I'll read more than 24, but who knows? This is my goal though. So thank you for watching.